Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my art room. I'm working on my part 2 of doing a crocus for the Botanical Beauties project. That's being led by Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne and by Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios. And today I'm ready to sort of put my piece together. So I was having a bit of a play and started to think about what I wanted to do for the stamens for the crocus and what I might want to use for that. And I thought I'll turn the video on and share my thoughts with you because I don't know really what I'm doing. So I thought, no, just might as well talk to you about it. I'm just going to get rid of all of that because I don't need that bit there. And this is where I'm thinking this flower is going to go, this panel, because I want that flower sticking out over the edge. And I just was going to put a piece of green linen behind it, which was what my original sort of thought. And then I decided that I actually just like this plainer background. So I think I'm going to stick with that. But I think it still needs a little bit of something in the background. So I thought about having just some green pieces just to complement the purple, I think, was more than anything else. And just found some green bits of fabric that I thought actually went with it, and I think that one does too. So I'm kind of thinking of doing something like that. So I thought if I just, how much of that do I need? Probably that's enough if I just square it off a bit so it looks a bit neater, and I'll see if that's big enough to go in there. I hope you're all good. We are here. It's another gorgeous day, and that's always a lovely thing to have. It's been amazing how just all of a sudden the weather changed here. I have a sneaking suspicion, though, it's not supposed to last. But I noticed that my blueberries plants have all got little blueberry flowers on them. So we were just talking last year we had to net them because the birdies like them and they were getting more than we were. But there's no blueberries on it yet. There's just flowers. But I don't really know what I'm doing here, so I'm just going to have a bit of a chat with you. This was a piece of trim that I dyed for my poppies panel, and I still really like the colour of it, so I didn't know whether, I don't think it needs to go all the way down there, but it's kind of nice to have a bit of a frame. But in my dyed lace box, I had this bit of purple trim. It might be too much. I don't think there's anything else in here. You can't see what it looks like. It's ridiculous. But it's too big to have out on the table here, so I'm not going to. Maybe some yellow might look nice. Because it's kind of that yellowy orangey colour that's in the stamens. I'll think about that one for a minute. So yeah, I don't think that I've got anything yellow enough. That is going to look okay. What's this one? Oh yeah, that one might be slightly better. All right, that can go over there because we don't need that much. Probably don't want that one, I don't think. But I actually use this one quite a bit. I just find it handy to add a little bit of trim here and there. Do I want any of this? I don't know. So this is me, and this is how I think about what I'm going to do. So there's a bit of procrastinating goes on for a bit until I actually work out what I want to do. I'm sure you guys do much the same. I'm going to embroider in here the detail. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you about. After I finished painting the flowers, I actually added a little bit more detail just with my Inktense pencils, just to get a slightly deeper colour. So I used bark, which is the browny colour, and the red violet, and I might not have used the red violet, might have just used the violet one, just to sort of give myself some lines here. What I do need to do is get a little bit of depth in here, because it needs to get a little bit darker as it goes down into the center of the flower before it gets to that before it gets to adding the stamens. So maybe I'll just use that to, I'm not going to water activate it. I'm happy with it just staying like this. It's not really going to be washed. I hope it won't ever get wet, but you never know. And I guess if it gets wet, maybe by then the pencils will have been long enough on the fabric for it not to be too big a deal. Kind of thinking that I just should do that. I don't think this is probably really the right shape for a crocus, but it is what it is. And I think this one can be a top one because they have 3 sort of inside and then 3 on the outside, and I think that hopefully I can make it eventually look like a crocus that's opened up. Good. All right, well, I might put you on pause because I will faff around here, but I'll come back when I've made a final decision as to what I think I might do before I start putting it together. I'm just really playing here. I don't know what I want, and I don't probably need to subject you to that. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute and you won't hardly know the time difference. Okay, I've been fiddling about for a little while, not really very long, but thought I'd come back and show you where my sort of playing has got to me. Has got me. I'm very interested in grids and grid patterns, and it does tend to feature in lots of what I do, but sometimes my eye just wants to do that, especially when I've already got some straight lines. That's the part that's leading me down this way. And did I know I was going to do that to start with? No, had no idea. And I quite like a bit of repeated colour, so I'm kind of thinking along the lines of, maybe still having another one of these in here. So this is where I'm going, and I'll keep working on it now with you. We'll have a little chat. I won't keep you forever because I'm just as likely to change my mind. And I haven't got around to adding these flowers. I haven't got, to make the flower up. what I did do was go and look back in that jewellery making box and found some other wire that I thought, I looked at all of these for maybe this paler gold on for this flower here. I just thought the stamens needed some stability. It wasn't going to work just with thread, and I hadn't thought that one through when I made the flower. I don't know what they did in the pattern. I can't actually remember, and like I said, it was a free pattern, so the likelihood of me, I wrote it down and then who would know where it is now. But anyway, I've got all my beads out, so when I get around to that, but that's probably how I'm going to tackle it. I don't know what gauge this wire is. It looks thinner than this one, which was a 26 gauge wire, but it's not much thinner. It's close, but it's not much, and that's all I've got of it, so I don't know what it was. All right, I'm going to get the pin tin out, wherever that's gone. Here, right in front of my face. Cool. Can you see what I'm doing? Good. All right, I'm going to pin some of this down so that I know where to stitch it, and then keep going from there. I think this yellow is going to go underneath, and I think this yellow is going underneath, and I think this can go here like that, and I think a couple of these can go in. Might just sort of gather them up a bit, like, I mean, they're not going to be a crocus flower, but yeah, maybe that will look all right. I think that's the right side. All right, I don't know where I got up to when I stopped the last one, but yes, I do hope that you're having a nice day. I've just had a sewing day today. Just decided to make myself a shirt. I bought a gorgeous piece of fabric from Gail's Patchwork Emporium in Ballarat when we went there for the retreat in Susanna's retreat in March, and with the intention of doing that, and then never got around to it. Yeah, you know, I think maybe something like that is where my head's going. Yeah, so anyway, I got around to doing that yesterday and today, and yeah, it was nice to get back actually to just sort of basic dressmaking. I've always done that, made my clothes when it was, you know, when it was viable to do it. It's no longer viable to do it. Fabrics cost so much, but I bought a piece of Japanese cotton linen blend. Do I have a scrap of it lying around that I can just see to show you? No. It's screen printed with flowers, and it's gorgeous. And I just thought I'd make sort of like a jacket cum shirt, you know, that I could button up and wear. So anyway, that was this morning's effort, and we've got a crazy weekend. Lots of things happening. It's not crazy, it's nice. It's nice to have lots of things happening, but I won't be videoing, that's for sure, because we won't even be here. So I'm not going to even attempt to take videoing away with me. I don't know whether that needs to come all the way down there. What's going to happen here? I don't know. Does anything need to happen there? But the green meeting the yellow was a bit silly. Maybe it doesn't need anything. I just might have a think about that one for a minute. But I think this is kind of my layout. I think this is what I'm going to do before I get around to actually embroidering the flowers and adding the stamens. This is a piece of fabric. Oh, I'm just going to, that's just the other side. That is a piece of linen that I've backed just with fabric stiffening, so that, I'm sorry if that's distracting, and I'll fold it in under there because that's not where Poppy Page is done and dusted. Yeah, fabric stiffening, that's what I was saying. Just to give it a bit of weight, in particular when I'm either stitching on these little bits of fabric or embroidering. I just would prefer that it had something more than what I'm doing it on. And this, because I'm putting mine, you know, the girls are making tablecloths, but I didn't have a tablecloth to do like that. That was a pin that had attacked me this morning. Dressmaking pin. When it's in really heavy fabric, it doesn't go very far. How do I want that to be? They must look like little church windows. How about like that? I don't know what I was saying. Oh, that's right. I'm doing this in a journal, and all the pages are this, so that they're just all working together really, because each page is very different to the one before, although often, as happens, the similar colours get added and even similar fabrics get added because they're just on the work table, and then I forget that I've put it in something else, and then I go, oh, I use the same thing. That's right. Makes it look like it's mine. Good. Yeah, I think that definitely going over that edge there looks all right. It's going right to there. I can still see a bit of this, because this was eco-dyed fabric, and they're random sort of patterns. It's one of those things that you can't be guaranteed what you're going to get till it comes out of the pot or unwrapped. But that's the fun of it. No use wanting to have an exact pattern because it probably won't happen. Always there's something that is a contributing factor with eco-dyed fabric, is what time of year you pick the leaves, and how much tea you add, or how much whatever it is that you're using to dye. If you're not measuring it out with complete and utter accuracy, it's going to just turn out different every time you do it, and that's what happens to me. I couldn't repeat anything, I don't think, if I tried. Get similar sort of colour range, but you don't get anything like the same sort of patterning. All right, I think once that's stitched down, I think it'll be okay, because I know it's sticking up in the air at the minute, but it won't be like that when I'm done. Do I need anything here? It's kind of like this blank space, isn't it? What could I put there? I don't know. I don't think I want to introduce another colour. And I thought about maybe like a doily or a bit of lace, an extra bit of lace, like plain. I wonder if that would look all right. Where is it? That can often be a challenge when it wasn't something I was thinking about. All right, so not beside me here. Of course not. It's never going to be that easy, is it? All right, I'm still here. Just haven't got it in my line of sight, which is annoying. Sorry, I'm talking straight into the microphone then. Where could it be? Oh. All right, I found this little box of goodies. Something in there might help because it's only scrappy bits. That looks like, no, not quite. I wonder if that, no, it's too white. Needs to be a bit more cream than that, I think, to go with the background. Oh, is there going to be anything in here? I don't know. No. All right. Maybe this is the problem. Maybe that's the problem. Oh, I kind of liked it there. I did like it there. Maybe it just needed to come in further. Where's the pin that's holding that one? You know, under this bit of fabric further. Yeah, maybe like that. That's what it needed to do. I don't know. I just don't know. Usually all ends up okay in the end. But it just does take a little bit of time to audition everything and work out what you want to keep and what you don't want to keep. There's something about that I like, but it's just not. It was just that little bit of gap there that was a problem. That was a problem for me. Is it this? Is it this? And this is what I do. I take it off, I put it on, I take it off, I put it on. Sometimes I take it all off and start all over again. Oh yeah, that looks a little bit better there. All right. And I'm just going to have one of these poking out here. No, that looks silly. Needs to go back to that idea, I think. Maybe. Got a gap here again that is just going to disturb my eye for a bit. Oh yeah. Maybe it can just overlay itself like that. Can you see? Oh yeah, God, I thought then for a minute that I was off screen. I'm doing all of this for nothing. Oh. No. All right, well, I don't think there was anything in this little scrappy bucket here that was going to play. Oh yeah, maybe a bit of cream instead of the green. Maybe cream. Maybe cream all the way. Even down to there. All right, let's cut that off and see. And then maybe another bit of that under here. All right. I think about that much. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Is that going to come all the way down to there? Maybe. Get rid of the green. Yeah. All right. I think that's closer to a look that's a bit more pleasing to my eye. I hope that it looks okay on screen. But, you know, there's one of those things that sometimes I have to walk away from it and then come back and make a final decision as to whether or not that's the way I want it to look. And the other thing, one of the other things that I do is I often take a photo. And strangely, I don't know what happens in a photo, it just shows up anything that's glaringly obvious that doesn't need to be there. Or, you know, yeah, what was I thinking? Which might be this purple lace, I don't know. But I kind of wanted the balance of the purple in the background. Never going to get a pin through there. And with this, because this is more that colour and then this is the darker shade of the same thing, I think. So what I might do is I'm going to stop and start again, because doing some of this is quite time consuming and boring probably for you. Like, you probably all go and get on with it, woman. What are you doing? You're mucking around and not getting anywhere. What I'm going to do with these little stemmy things is when I stitch it down, I'm going to wrap it in a green pearl cotton, so that it becomes part of that, and stitch through those leaves. And then I've got the intention of having the three-dimensional, was that the one I was going to use? Stamens sticking up with a bead on the end. Gigantic. Because this is just going to have fairly simple stitching on it. Not a lot, other than my embroidering in stamens and probably putting beads in there. I think I just need to go away and have a look at it for a minute. But it looks kind of okay at the moment. I might need to jiggle that yellow around so you can see a little bit more of it. But I'm only using the yellow because of the yellow in the stamens. And I just thought taking these colours out seems to be a little bit more pleasing to my eye. I'm not sure whether it is to your eye, but it is to my eye, and I guess that's the main thing. As long as it looks all right to me. I'd like it to look all right to you. That would be very important. But sometimes you can't please everybody, and it might be that one. That one might be the slightly better one. Sort of paler. And then the challenge is, of course, finding a bead to go on it. But we'll do that together in a minute. I'll see how long this is, and if I can get the background, all of this background, invisibly stitched on, because I'm not going to put any more colour with thread into the background. So I'll just use something plain that will disappear. And then I'll come back to you if it looks the same. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't look the same, my apologies, but I'll talk you through it. Okay. I almost forgot to come back. I've finished doing the stitching. I sort of just got into the zone of it, and I'm going to take my watch off, because what I noticed when I watched the last one played back, how often the watch face activated every time I moved my hand, so that must be annoying. Back to the topic. All right, So I stitched all of these down with just a small stitch, sometimes invisible, sometimes not. I'm quite happy with that bit of cream that I added down here. I've stitched these down. They don't look quite so in your face. Feel that's okay. I'm happy with it. I've done a little bit of stitching on this one, just a bit of shading really. What I did was I couldn't find really the colour that I wanted, so I used one strand of this and one strand of that to try and just make it a bit more blendy. Yeah, I think I achieved that. A little bit of beading here, making some saffron threads and little stamens in here. And I was just doing this bit when I suddenly remembered that I was going to video. So yeah, so I've put some stitches in here to hold them together. I've tried to aim for 3 in the middle and 3 on the outside. And what I was doing just now was just stitching this one down. So that'll be the one that's underneath everything else. So I'm just putting a couple of stitches in from behind just to hold it in place. Just that, just to hold it in place, not really for anything else other than that I thought it would help to stabilize the whole flower. And then I'll do the stem. I've picked out this thread here for the stem, which I'm just really going to do like a couching to couch the wires down and the threads. So yep, I think that will be fine. The purple thread's still leaching purple out of it, so it was the one that I dyed with a pencil and thought that I'd probably heat set it enough, but obviously not. So there we go. I don't think it'll cause too much of a problem though. Once it's here and in the book, there's no real need. Yeah, you know, it won't be handled very much. All right, I think that will probably do. It was just really to catch it down so that it didn't move too much. So yeah, it's certainly quite a few hours ago that I recorded the last one. We've done tea and those things, and I just was sitting here enjoying a bit of stitching and just zoned it out there for a minute and totally forgot that I was wanting to add this little bit on, because otherwise we won't it won't get done. I'm not sure whether I'll get the whole thing finished. I'll certainly post a photo on the Facebook page. Although in saying that, there may be some people that aren't connected to that. If you not think about it, it's Stitched Vintage Treasures, and there's lots of members now that enjoy sharing what they're doing. You might like to be part of that. So Stitched Vintage Treasures, if you do a bit of a search, answer the ladies a couple of questions just to keep out the people that aren't really there for any other. So yeah, so I've just I just thought if I just go over this here just to create that you know, where the stalk meets the flower, to hold it down. I'm hoping that don't really know. I'm making it up as I'm going along, to be quite honest. I'm just hoping that that will look all right. I'll probably do similar beading to that but on wire, so that it'll hold its own here. So yeah, this might take a minute to completely cover. So yeah, maybe I will have to finish this before I post the video, so might be tomorrow before I get that done, which will be Friday. Thursday night here, and I'm just thinking that I always think that it's going to take a lot less time than it does. I'm leaving those ends dangling there for a minute just till I know how much room it's going to take up. So I'm just trying to keep the stitches close together here so that I cover the wire. Trying to decide whether it would be easier to just wrap it and then stitch it down. Might get a slightly neater end. All right, here goes. I didn't know what I was doing here. Cut these purple bits off and then trim the wires back with my paper scissors. I don't want to ruin those scissors because they're nice and sharp. Maybe if I just give it a twist, it almost goes right down there, so it actually might not need cutting off. All right, here goes. Yeah, I think that might be slightly neater, and then I can just catch it down maybe the center or something. But I think that's neater than what I was doing with the stitching. And I'm pulling it pretty tightly so that I don't want it too thick. Some things are just a trial and error when you don't have a pattern, but you've got a vision of what you think it might look like. And, you know, I guess I was just thinking about when you watch people making artificial flowers and they use that green tape. If I had any of that, that might have been good, but I don't have any of that because I've never made artificial flowers except this one. And so it's not part of my craft cupboard. All right, well, and then, I mean, if you see the bit of the wire, a little bit, it's probably not too big a deal. And then maybe what I'll do here is go back to that wrapping it over. This needle's a bit of a, you know, it's a decent needle, decent thickness of needle. I don't know what it is, but, you know, it just meets with a bit of resistance in the fabric just because it's a bit bigger. But I thought it needed a bit of a robust sort of needle. I might have to be careful that that doesn't, you know, the wire doesn't poke through. Yeah, well, I think that's all right. Maybe if I just go up, I think the wrapping it was a much better idea. What I'm going to do is just come up in a few spots and hold it down there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm even wondering with the stamens and things if I shouldn't poke the wire through the fabric from the wrong side, just to and then catch it in there, because you're not going to see it because it's going to be backed. The page is going to be backed. All right, well, that's not going anywhere, and it's got quite a nice shape to it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I might actually use some of this thread to just put a couple of stitches in the leaves just to make it look like it's coming out of the same plant. Good. Okay. Yeah. I think that's okay. These will just probably just do their own thing most of the time, depending on what's going on with the book. I think it kind of looks like a crocus. Kind of. Yeah, I think what I might do is use a bit of this green thread just to do a couple of stitches. Just even some long stitches might look quite nice. Tie it together. I still need to do a bit of embroidery on this one. I don't really want to have it that long because I don't think that's such a good idea. So I'll see what this looks like if I do like a split back stitch. Just so I don't get that hole where the, a continuous stitch would have looked nicer, but sorry. Husband's gonna have a coughing moment. He's sitting there quietly. We don't have any doors between him and me, sort of open the dining room between us, but now he's going to sneeze. Oh no, he didn't. No, I think that looks all right. I might put a couple more of them in. I don't mind them. Yeah, I think that looks all right. This is a variegated thread, so it'll take on its own life, really. Yeah, I think that helps to just make it all look like it's meant to be together. It's actually quite coarse. I don't know what it is. Oh, not those scissors. That'll not be a cut thread. Good for wire, but not much good for thread. I don't want to keep looking at that because it won't be, it's not opposite each other in the book. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, I'll keep working on it, and then what I'll do is I'll just add a photo at the end. My thoughts with this wire, because it's quite thin, how do I get into it? This way. Although, in saying that, it certainly holds its bend, all right. But my thought was, I don't know, I wonder if it'll go through the fabric. Will it? Oh, it's got like a coating on it. Oh, the other one didn't have that. That purple one. This is got like a paper coating on it. All right. Well, that's not going to work. All right. So maybe what I need to do. Oh, I want 3, don't I? I don't want 4, because I was thinking I could just put a stitch in it there. How will I do this? Well, I suppose what I could do is do a little twist here. I like doing a bit of wire work with no pliers. I didn't even think of getting pliers or anything out. Oh gosh, and I couldn't even think where they even are right at this second. I do have a little set of pliers. That's right. I'm not going to worry too much. Then if I put a stitch in there, right down in there, that will hold it. Good. If I put a bead on the end and just would have been good with a pair of pliers, wouldn't it? Where are they? Can I even think about where they are? No. So what I'll do is I'll do that like that for now, and then when I'm finishing it off, I'll get the pliers, and if I could just see them. It's in a little container that's got other tools in it, but can't see it. You know what I'm going to do, so that's all right. Yeah, that looks like it's... And then if I tuck it right in there and put a stitch in it, that'll hold that. It doesn't have to have the saffron threads. I don't think it needs them. I think it'll be fine like that. A needle and thread. I'm getting purple fingers here. Just probably needed to be heat set for a bit longer than I did. Like I said, I was in a bit of a hurry. I was a bit impatient. I put the thread out in the sun for a bit to dry, and it was dry when I brought it in, or dryish, and I gave it an iron to finish it off, but I was wanting to get on with the crocheting side of it, and it wasn't until I was doing the crocheting that I realised that I probably hadn't done it for long enough. And had it been for any other reason, I would have stopped what I was doing, but it was the end of the day, and I was just crocheting at night, sitting watching the telly, and it wasn't until I'd sort of wasn't really looking at my fingers, too busy looking at what I was doing, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, look at my hands. Anyway, never mind. Things we do. Well, I don't think that's going to go anywhere, that's for sure. Wasn't didn't actually have a plan for that. I just had a vague idea. Knew that threads weren't going to be very successful. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Pretty good. All right, what I'll do is I'll keep working on it. I'll finish it off. The beading side of things was just a single thread of, embroidered cotton, that bead, and then these little bugle beads with a little tiny seed bead in the end just to hold it in. And then I went back and put a stitch over them just to hold it down, because otherwise they were sticking up in the air. They looked a bit silly. When I get to that point, I'll come back for 2 more seconds, and then that'll be it. The rest will be, the finished thing will be a thumbnail. All right, I'll be back. Okay, this is the last little bit of this video. Gosh, it's gone on and on and on, and I hope it's okay that it's just in bits, rather than me make another video another day. So what I've done here is I've just been adding some straight stitch around here just to give it a bit of shadow. It wasn't anything really complicated. I didn't want to fill the whole thing in, so I just chose to do this with it, so that it was just, oh, I keep saying just a lot, but I'll try and stop saying that. But my purpose is to do a little bit of shading, which is why I'm following along the outside edges or in the depth of the petals here. And sometimes I've done it where a petal overlaps, just to thicken that area up there and create some shadows. And again, I'm just using the 2 strands of the different colours to make it a bit more blended. Change the colour from being either too pale or too, the other one seemed to be a bit too pinky, but they were my colours that I had, so I was restricted to that. Okay, I think that's probably enough. I'll just use up the last little bit of thread that I've got. And as I said, these were taken from real flowers as my inspiration, so I didn't have anything to really copy from. Once I'd painted them, they became a bit more abstract than realistic. And so I went back to the photo to reference, try and see where there was light and shade. But I'd changed it a fair bit. It was one of those stripy crocuses, and mine, I didn't think I'd made it stripy enough in the painting, so I didn't want to start making it stripy with thread. I did a little bit more of that green in this stalk here, and I need to finish those, so they'll need to be done before I do a final photo. Okay, the beading, I simply used the DMC thread, and this needle was fine enough to go through the beads that I chose, or through most of them anyway. If it won't go through, I'll just find another one. don't own very many yellow beads. It's a funny colour, isn't it? I would have thought that I would have had more yellow than I did. Or they were too big for what I needed. I did have a few yellow ones, but they were giant ones. And what I did before was just a straight stitch with the bead on the end. And I thought I'm going to make the yellow ones come down here where I put a bit more yellow, and the orange ones go up higher. I think that's how it will end up looking. Yep. And just so that the bead will sit flat, I'm coming back up just outside that where I finished it off. Am I staying on screen for you? Actually got quite late now, but I was determined to finish this before the weekend because we're going away to spend some time with family and friends, and I wouldn't be doing any more videoing now till Monday, so I thought if I don't do this tonight and try and get it up, it was not going to happen. Might make that one a little bit longer just for interest. I haven't gone through the bead twice. It's quite a thick thread and I don't mind that it's sitting up like that. And there's really probably not going to be very much stress put on it, so I don't think that it will come undone. As I said, it's going in a book, so it's not going to be getting very much wear and tear being handled too much, other than being looked at occasionally. All right, and then the other ones, I use this orange thread. I can't decide now. Quite liked those going through the middle there. Should I do the same? I don't know. I'll go that way. No, I think they need to go the same way as the yellow ones. Oh, good. It's always when you're rushing, isn't it? Feels a bit rushed now. I'm trying not to make this video too much longer. I bet this one doesn't go through the needle. Oh yes, it did. Good. I've got this little mixed beads. They're obviously Christmassy ones, but the red was the colour that I was looking for. Yeah, they really should be longer, but that was the length of bugle bead I had, so I'm just using that. And then what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little overcast stitch just here, just between the bugle bead and the seed bead, because, oh, there we go. That I did that differently. Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Oh, well, doesn't matter. It's done now. What I did with the other ones was I didn't put this, I'll show you what I'm talking about, trying to explain it. So when I put the seed bead on, I went back through the bugle bead thinking I wanted it to look a bit 3D, but silly. So what I did was, instead of going through the fabric, I went the other side back through the bugle bead. Which would have made it stick up in the air. And I thought it looked silly, so I actually stitched the other ones down and then realised that I automatically did that then. Yeah, see, it sticks up like that, and that looked a bit weird. So I just put that little stitch between the bugle bead and the little seed bead. Oh, she says, and it just promptly, there, that's just going to hold it down. All right, I'll go back to my other way of doing things. And little seed bead. I didn't want to tip all them out because I only needed that few, and I thought if I tip them all out, sometimes hard to get back again when they're that little. Good. All right, so other than those few last green stitches in the leaves, I decided when I was painting, I thought I might have had another leaf come out here, but I don't think that I need it. I think I'm happy with it the way it is. Yeah, that was better. That held it down. And I only went back through those other ones because I'd left them all sticking up in the air. Couldn't find the pliers while I was... So they still haven't had their wire sorted out, but when I find the pliers, I'll fix them. So there we go. All right, I hope you've enjoyed that and that it wasn't too disjointed. And I'll catch you again in another video. Thank you for joining me. Bye.